Hi, you guys. So, to my minions and to Grooge, this verse I have for you guys today. It's Genesis chapter 50, verse 20. As for you, meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today. And that is why I'm still alive. Thank God. All glory is always given to God, first off. But that verse is like extremely important. If you're being gang stalked or harassed by people, your loved ones, old co-workers, friends, for whatever reason it is, they have no good reason. There's no valid reason for people to be so wicked ever. Um, it literally blows my mind on the things that I have come to realize and see and know. I can imagine just how disappointed God is in everyone and what the world's becoming and how it is, because even I am. I'm like shocked by everything I know and like what I've seen and what I'm like, what is going on? Like I've been sleeping this whole time. Like what is happening? But I have literally been sleeping this entire time, you know? I want to share this too. If you feel like you're being gang stalked or you're being harassed, maybe you are part of the Truman Show just like me. Maybe you have maybe it's been something that's been happening your entire life. You just never noticed it. Um, I know I feel like the government is most definitely involved. I do believe I'm extremely smart, but I think the grade levels that I've always been in was to hinder me, and I felt like it was done purposely now. I think I could be more than capable. I mean, I know how to read now. I'm a good reader. I'm a good writer, you know. But of course I do have delays because it's always been put in my head that I'm not a good reader and I'm not a good writer, and I have a learning disability. I was put in like resource skills classes growing up, but now when I look back, I'm like, but were those really resource skills classes, or was that them trying to test my mind? Was that them trying to see what I know and what I can do? You know what I mean? Because there were, and I say illusions because that's kind of what they were. I remember there being numerous testings that I did where I had to um, put like they would put a picture in front of me and then give me like all these little shapes, you know, and say, what is this shape, like, what is it, what is this picture, what's the first thing you see, is like, like, is it a bird, or is it a flower, or is it, you know what I mean? And then I would say what I seen and they would be like, good, and it was like the one at the top, and I remember seeing, the teacher circle it and just things like that. Like, what does that have anything to do with me learning? But those are like the kind of tests I would do constantly. And the reason why I brought that up is because just the other day I'm watching YouTube and this person says, you're really smart if you have an IQ past, yada yada yada. And then he's like, you can take these tests to see where your IQ's at. And as I clicked on it to take the test, I'm like, wow, these are like the same tests I was taking when I was younger, whenever I was in school. And I do feel like now they were delaying me. They were like, say I was in kindergarten and they're teaching me something you should be learning when you're like 1 or 2. And then I'm in the fourth grade and they're teaching me first grade stuff. I remember every time we would take, because if you were in these special resource skills classes, you wouldn't really have to take the real STAR test, or that's what we call it in Texas. I think they call it now the task test or something, but you wouldn't have to take those. They would put you would go to your resource skills room whenever they would take the test, and then they would give you like this fake test basically, and you would take the test and you would like go give it to the teacher and be done. Dude, I remember like these tests were so easy for me that I would finish like in, and it's like they would give you like a little, like the book of a, I would finish it like in maybe 10 minutes and go take it to her, and she'd be like, you're done already? And I'm like, yeah, like, I'm literally in the fifth grade and you're giving me first grade problems. But I remember taking it just quickly and going to give it to her. And then after that, we could all chit chat and talk. But I was never able to take the real STAR test, you know. But then my senior year, they decided, and I know this is their way of trying to flunk me. They were trying to fail me. But like I said, what they intended for bad, God intended for good. And mind you, I'm not even living with my parents at this time. So why my parents said, yeah, that's okay, it's beyond me. They hadn't taken care of me in a year. This is my senior year, and they come to my parents. I think this is my junior year actually, and they come to my parents and they say, hey, you know, all this time that Ashley Ann's been in school, she's been doing phenomenal with the STAR testing, and you know, she's been doing great. So this year, if it's okay with you guys, in order for her to, you know, pass to graduate, we want to see if y'all would sign a paper saying that she would have to pass the STAR test. Mind you, I've never taken the real STAR test in my entire life because they've always had me in these resource skills classes. So my dad, I guess, signs a paper saying, yes, it's okay for me to take the real STAR test. And I'm like, what the heck? He ends up telling me, he calls me and says, hey, just so you know, because like I said, I wasn't living with them. They're gonna test you this year and you're gonna take the real STAR test. And I said, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, they're gonna test you, and when they give you the test, you're gonna have to pass it for you to be able to graduate. And I'm like, Dad, why would you sign a paper like that saying yes if you don't know if I'm gonna be able to pass it? And this is our last year. Like, if I don't pass it, then I'm not gonna be able to graduate. And I remember crying because I'm like, I've never taken this test before. They've always said that I have a special resource skills, you know, what is it, disability. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to take this test and pass it, you know. So I'm like crying, and I was pregnant at this time too, so I'm like really stressing. And guess what? I failed the test. The very first test I took, I failed it. Well, because your last test is your junior. Wait, is it your junior year? Yeah, and then you're a senior, right? So if you fail at your junior year, you have a chance to take it one more time during your senior year. So basically, you just study all summer and then you will take the test again. So if I didn't pass it the second time, then they were gonna hold me back. And I was gonna have to retake, you know, my senior year, which I thought was completely unfair considering that I had never taken these tests in my life. Other than the little, like I said, I'm in the fourth grade, they're giving me first grade stuff. I'm in the sixth grade, they're giving me second grade stuff. So, like, you know, this is all new to me. So, anyway, all glory given to God because I know what they intended for bad ended up being good because I passed the test and I passed it, I'm pretty sure, with flying colors. Um, but why would they do that to me? Last year, like, they were trying to hold me back. They were trying to, like, you know, do whatever it is that they were trying to do, which didn't work, thank God. But it's things like that that I've noticed or that I'm now putting together. Like when I start putting puzzle pieces together of my life, I'm like, that did happen, you know. Well, also, I like to listen to the tarot readings and, like, you know, the psychics and all that. I believe in all that. Like I said, I believe in the good and the bad. I believe in God, and I know that there's a devil. I was raised in a household like that, you know, where, like I said, my dad was a God fearing man, and my mom's family, you know, done all the voodoo, whatever, you know, witch stuff, and I would hear stories about it and stuff. So I believe in both, you know, I believe in both sides of it, and anyway, I like to listen to tarot readings. And not too long ago, this like a month ago, I think, I listened to this, my favorite tarot reader, and she said, when you were younger, they tried to unalive you through a drowning incident. Like they tried to drown you. And I thought that was so funny when she said that because I'm like, she's definitely talking to me because when I was younger, I didn't know how to swim, and neither did my other brothers and sisters. I remember, I think my oldest brother maybe knew how to swim, and that was it, you know. But I clearly remember my dad grabbing me and throwing me in like a 10-foot pool of water, and me like trying to, like, because I could not come, I didn't know how to swim. And I finally came to it, and, like, you know, I finally started pushing my body and my way to the pool to grab onto the, you know, the edge of the pool. And when I done that, my dad pulled me out and he said, "See, I knew you could do it." And like I was crying, I'm like, "Well, why would you do that?" And like I'm all crying and sad. And um I remember him telling me, "Well, that's the only way you're going to learn, or else you're not going to learn. You're going to, cuz which he was right. I wasn't like every other kid. All the kids are, I mean, I did climb monkey bars and all that, but like if I felt like it was going to hurt me, like I'm not going to climb a 6 foot tree and then think, how am I going to get my way back down? No. I was very, timid about certain stuff. I've always been afraid of like, the ledges of things or like the heights and stuff. Well, I used to be afraid. And he was like, then you weren't going to do it. And that's how you have to learn. And I'm like, okay. But I remember in that moment, I really did think I was going to die. Like, and I remember thinking, like, every time I came up for air, like, they're not even going to trying to grab me. They're not even trying to save me. You know what I mean? And I remember that whole day. And the next 2 days, I was just so upset and mad because I could still feel like the water in my throat. My nose was stuffed. I kind of got sick from it. So when she said that, I'm like, yeah, she's definitely talking to me because that definitely happened. And that's how I had to learn how to swim. And even after that, it didn't make me want to go into the 10-foot water. I remember I was still kind of pretending to swim back and forth where I could stand, but I was trying to show like, yeah, I'm swimming. So that way he wouldn't do that again to me. You know what I mean? But it's just things like that I'm now putting puzzle pieces together and I'm like, wow, like, so maybe they have been trying to unalive me since I was a kid. um this too, like my dad was always a disciplinary parent. And my mom never hit any of us. Like she's always really nice and sweet and more like the nicer parent. And there were a few times when my dad wasn't at work and I can't even remember why she done it. I obviously I did something, I don't know what, but I remember her throwing me on the bed and literally punching me on the bed, like punching me full force, like on the bed. She done that a few times to me. And I never seen her do that to any of my other brothers and sisters, but she did to me. So I, now that I look back, I'm like, wow, like why, what did I do? Because I wasn't a bad kid. I was always a good kid. I was always quiet. I was their Cinderella. So I cleaned their entire house all the time. I took care of my brothers and sisters. I felt like I made her life easier. But she would do that, things like that to me, and I'm like, well, why me? What did I do to you? But now that I look back and now that I'm realizing everything that I'm realizing, I'm like, wow, so they've always just hated me. And then now that my dad's gone, it truly shows. I think my dad did. Well, I don't think. I know my dad loved me. I think he was just young and following, I believe, with what my mom was telling him. But I don't know. I'm still trying to figure everything out. But I do know everything that was done in the dark will most definitely come to light. And I'm waiting for that. No justice, no peace. But yeah, you guys have a good day.